I finally escaped my fiancé and his manipulative mother, and the final confrontation was a dumpster fire worth every single spark. It all started the week I decided to take my life back for good. I'd been getting a lot of requests for an update, so I wanted to let everyone know how it went when my ex-fiancé's mom, Brenda, found out I was no longer covering the rent and was moving out. To put it mildly, it was a complete and utter train wreck. But the most important part is this: I moved out, and I am officially off the lease. The new arrangement, which I had no part in making, is that Brenda is now on the lease. She and Liam's dad, I have no idea how that poor man got roped into this, are covering half the rent, and my now ex-fiancé, Liam, is covering the other half. The fuse was lit last week. I started working out of my friend's apartment, the one I'm now moving in with, so I managed to avoid Brenda all day Monday. On Tuesday, right around lunchtime, my phone buzzed. It was a text from her asking where I was. I kept it brief, telling her I was working and would be home late. She replied almost immediately, a hint of accusation in her tone. She said Liam had told her I wasn't going to be contributing as much, and because of that, she had to loan him money for his share of the rent. This wasn't a surprise to me, so I just sent back a simple thumbs up emoji and put my phone away. I had plans with my friends that night for dinner and drinks, so by the time I finally got home, it was after midnight. The apartment was dark and quiet. Brenda was already asleep. I felt a wave of relief, knowing I had dodged a bullet, at least for one more night. The real fun started Wednesday morning. I was in my room, getting ready to head to my friend's place for the day, when Brenda appeared in the doorway, blocking my exit. She crossed her arms, a stern look on her face. "We need to discuss your financial situation," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. Before I could even respond, she launched into a tirade. She lectured me about how she was now having to cover my part of the rent, how irresponsible I was for going out to dinner when I supposedly couldn't even pay my bills. She called me inconsiderate, foolish with money, and completely oblivious to the impact my actions had on others. Then came the kicker. She went on to say that if she was going to have to pay my share, she expected me to start doing a much better job of keeping on top of the chores and keeping the apartment clean and organized. Brenda stood there, looking so pleased with herself, believing she had just put me in my place. She was completely unaware that her victory was hollow, and the true cost of her manipulation was about to come due. I just stared at her for a second, letting her finish. It was clear that Liam, the man-child who told his mother literally every single thing about our lives, hadn't bothered to tell her the most important detail of all. "I'm moving out," I said calmly, "since Liam obviously didn't tell you." Her reaction was bizarre. Her face shifted, and for a moment, she looked pleased with herself. A little smug smile played on her lips as if she'd just won some unspoken battle. "Maybe that's for the best," was all she said, but her tune changed drastically by the time I got home that night. The moment I walked through the door, she was on me, insisting we talk. She told me she had a better idea. Instead of me moving out, we could all get a bigger, 3-bedroom apartment. And then, with a magnanimous air, she announced that she would be willing to help by paying the difference in rent between our current 2-bedroom and the new 3-bedroom. Then, she proposed, we could go right back to the old arrangement Liam and I had before she moved in, me paying 2/3 of the rent, and him paying 1/3. Honestly, as she was saying all this, my brain felt like it just vapor-locked. She was framing this as if she were doing us some grand favor, offering to pay a tiny fraction of the rent for her own room while I continued to subsidize her son's life. It finally clicked. Once she discovered that Liam wasn't paying for everything like she'd always believed, she suddenly wasn't so excited about me moving out anymore. I tried to be polite. I told her that I had already given notice to our apartment complex and had already committed to moving in with my friend, but she kept pushing, insisting that if she was willing to pay the difference, I should just stay, because that would really be best for everyone. By then, my politeness was wearing thin. "Brenda," I said, my voice sharp, "because of the way you have been acting and treating me, I have absolutely no interest in living with you anymore." And that's when the most incredible line of this whole dumpster fire came out of her mouth. She said she was worried I was taking advantage of her son. She claimed that if we had just told her about our financial arrangement from the beginning, she would have been more understanding of why I wasn't keeping up with the apartment. I just looked at her, stunned by the audacity. Maybe a good lesson from this is to try being nice to everyone in the future. I shot back. And not just the people you think can help you. And since we're being honest, why didn't you help out more around here? Since you weren't doing anything productive all day? She did not like that. It got hostile, fast. We were both yelling. And to be fair, we both said some pretty awful things to one another. Finally, I had enough. I told her I was going to march down to the rental office and inform them that she had been living there for months, completely contrary to the lease agreement. I told her that getting evicted would be worth it just to see her living on the street. That shut her up. I grabbed my laptop, didn't even bother packing a bag, and walked out the door, heading straight for my friend's place. The next afternoon, I got a text from Liam. He said he had added his mom to the lease, effective the first of the month. He confirmed that she and his dad would be paying for half the rent, and he would pay the other half. I immediately called the property manager and confirmed that I was off the lease and had no further obligation. I got it in an email, so I have a written record. I put in disconnect orders for the utilities that were in my name and told Liam to set up his own accounts. I know I'm going to lose the damage deposit, but it's a small price to pay for my freedom. That Friday, I took the day off work to finish packing, and on Saturday, a few friends helped me move all my stuff to my new place. Brenda was hostile the whole time. And when she saw just how much of the furniture and household items were actually mine, she got even worse. Last night, Liam and I got together to talk for the first time since the explosion. According to him, his mom really didn't like living here and that's why she never bothered to find a job. He said she plans to stay until the lease is up in June, and then she's moving back to their hometown. Then, he looked at me with sad eyes and asked, "How long a break do you think we should take?" I took a deep breath. Some commenters on my original post gave me a hard time for stringing him along, so I decided to be brutally honest. "Liam," I said, "I could never be with someone who allows another person to treat me the way you allowed your mom to treat me. This isn't a break. This is over. I truly hope you learn to stand on your own 2 feet and establish some boundaries." He looked like he was going to cry. He just got up and left without another word. As one person later pointed out online, it wasn't just his mom who ruined our relationship. He himself also messed it up. He should have had my back and supported me when his mother started taking advantage, but he didn't. This revealed Liam's greatest flaw, his inability to stand on his own 2 feet. He allowed his mother's toxic influence to sever the most important relationship in his life, and in that moment, the crushing weight of his failure finally seemed to land. As far as I'm concerned, this whole thing is over and done. It was a painful learning experience, but I'm so glad I found out how awful Brenda was before we ever got married. The amount of damage this woman leaves in her wake, and her utter obliviousness to it all, is just staggering. She destroyed our engagement, left Liam in a much worse financial situation, and likely delayed his father's retirement by years. And after making my life hell for 6 months, she's walking away completely unscathed, heading back to her hometown to pick up her old teaching job. As another commenter speculated, maybe this was her endgame all along, get her son to move back home. Now that she's husbandless, she wants her son to step into that role, and he couldn't do that while engaged to me. It's diabolical, but I'm free. I'm thinking about visiting my parents next week. I just want to tell them how boring and undramatic they are, and how grateful I am for that. This whole ordeal is a powerful reminder that you can't build a future with someone who won't protect you from their own family's toxicity. Sometimes, the most important boundary you can set is the one you create by walking away. So let me ask you, have you ever had to make a difficult choice to remove a toxic person from your life? And what did you learn from it?